So here I was, sitting around, chilling, playing some games at Advanced Wars by Web, when suddenly I notice a message. Prepare yourself. You think you're so awesome. How dare you put Eagle on a lower tier. I'ma poon you with him 1,000,000,000,000 times. Smiley face. So I was like, sure, let's go. I accept your challenge. Let's play a 1 versus 1 match right now. Now, before we jump into this match, I would like to add that I did ask for this guy's permission to cast this replay. He actually ended up being a pretty cool guy, and he took it all in great stride, and spoiler alert, the game didn't go so well for him. But the reason why I want to cast this game is because he ended up doing a lot of mistakes in this match. I did a lot of mistakes too, but I think a replay commentary on this match might actually be very insightful. First, I would like to talk about our choice of COs. So I decided to go with Adder, simply because I didn't want to prove my point by playing like a really strong CO. He's playing Eagle, which is he's a pretty good CO. In Advanced Wars by Web, he follows his Advanced Wars 2 rule sets. So all of his air units gain 15% firepower, 10% extra defense. They consume 2 less fuel per day. He does have a firepower reduction on naval units, but there's no docks on this map, so this isn't really going to end up hurting him a lot. He has his normal power lightning drive, which is pretty cheap, but it only increases the firepower of his airplanes, and he of course has that really powerful lightning strike that lets him take a double turn. So Eagle, a lot stronger than Adder by all accounts, but I could tell that this wasn't a super experienced player. So the reason why I'm doing this isn't to like stomp him into the ground or make fun of him or like to show how good I am or anything like that. It was a pretty interesting match, but he did a lot of little mistakes, and I would like to show you guys all the little mistakes that he did. And I think this will be very helpful to players who are looking to get into Advanced Wars PvP. So let's take a look at this map. I actually really like it a lot. Each player starts out with 2 bases here. And they're kind of spread out, so there will be kind of like 2 fronts on this map, one in the north, one in the south. Now this map features a lot of forests, which can be both good and bad for Eagle. It can be bad for him because it gives me a lot of opportunities to hide my anti-air, but it's also good for Eagle because rough terrain means his air units will be able to move much swifter, while ground units will be slowed down, so they'll have more maneuverability compared to the ground units. There's also a lot of mountains here, and he can pull his battlecopters over the mountains to protect them from anti-air, so this is a pretty good thing for Eagle to do. Let's see if he ends up taking advantage of this terrain, so let's get started. So I am the red player right here. Blue player does start out with an extra infantry to offset the fact that he is the second player. This is something that a lot of maps do at Advanced Wars by Web, and I think it's a really good thing. Alright, so let's jump into the game, shall we? Day 1, I decide to build 2 infantry, pretty standard right here. It's his turn. He goes for an early cap on the airport, and already he is making his first big mistake. He actually forgets to build an infantry on the second base right here. So already we can tell that this is a player that's going to make a lot of beginner mistakes. He didn't pay attention to the map, and he didn't realize that he had a base down here, which already not very great for him. He's already behind in the capture game. I have 2 infantry here. He only has infantry up here. Now I decided to go for the first city. I actually decided to go for a bit of an aggressive opener here. I go for the airport up in the north here, and I'm actually a little bit annoyed that I did this, because I think it would have been better for me to just go for the base, because I'm up against an Eagle player, and Eagle players, they like to get a transport out really early. This is something a lot of them do. For some reason, they seem to think that their transports are better. They're not really. I mean, they have extra defense, but aside from that, it's not like Eagle transports move fast or anything. So a lot of Eagle players will rush out a transport copter just because, lol, they play as air specialist. And I actually realized that I was going to try and punish this, so I decided that I'm going to build a lot of recons early on to try and punish him, because of course if you open up transport copter, that's a very economic opener. That means you're not going to have a lot of funds to build recons of your own, which means you can get a lot done with recon harass. Now this time around he actually does recognize that he has a base down in the south here, so he actually builds an infantry, so good thing he noticed that on day 2, but that's still going to hurt him quite a lot in the capture game. Now, my turn rolls in, I take a property immediately, and I also go for the initial properties near my bases right away, instead of ignoring them and moving on to the properties in the middle, because again, I want to build up some early eco, and I want to get some recons out to harass him, because I suspect as an Eagle player that he's going to get a transport copter out. And here I go. My first recon up in the north, and I'm going to send that towards him really early on and try to harass him as much as possible. So here's his second big mistake. I'm not sure if you saw that, but he sends his infantry for some reason. Oh, I skipped the entire turn. There we go. The website is a little bit weird sometimes. Sometimes it'll just skip an entire turn without telling you why. So I'm going to go back here and do it again. So see what he does now. He goes for the city instead of the base. So again, another huge beginner mistake, always go for bases early on. Incredibly important to go for bases early on. The first thing you want to do on any given map is to take the neutral bases as soon as possible. I mean, I even did this mistake. I went for the airport over the base. I should have gone for the base first, always. Rushing a transport copter out, it's not really that good most of the time. But I think he notices the base now, and now he's actually sending an infantry towards it to get it. But already he's massively behind in the capture game, as you can see just on the map here. And he builds more infantry, and he sends more infantry out to cap the cities. Now here, I send my recon out as far as possible to see if I can interrupt his caps. And I start to go for the northern properties. And here I start to capture my base. A little bit too late, but it didn't end up being that much of a deal. So once again, I'm just capping the properties, and I built my second recon. So here I really want to get aggressive. And as you can see, he's already built a transport. As I intended. Again, this is something Eagle players tend to do a lot. They really like to rush that early transport for some reason. And I know that, okay, so he's now 5,000 behind me in terms of military because he spent 5,000 on transport copters. I have 2 recons rushing in on him. Now I can punish him like crazy. So against Eagle players, this is something that I like doing a lot. Because for some reason, they all tend to do this. I don't really know why. So here's another mistake that he does. He loads up his transport copter and he sends it north. Now this is really strange. This is not a good example of utilizing your transports well. This property right here that I'm hovering over, not really a property that you need to rush. You're gonna get this. What I would have done with this transport copter is I would have sent it into the middle, because if you take a look at the properties here, these are the contested properties. These are the properties we're gonna be fighting about. This property, this property, this property, and this property are the ones that we need to focus on. I also see that I don't... actually, this map is perfectly mirrored. I was thinking it might not be mirrored, but yeah, no, it is perfectly mirrored. I just noticed this. So these properties up in the top here, these 2 properties here, these properties in the middle here, these are the ones you want to go for early if you're going to get a transport copter out. Rushing an infantry over to a city that's literally right next to your HQ, there's no point in that. Even though you're going to get a little sooner, it's not really worth the 5,000 that you spend on the transport copter, so don't do this. My turn, I once again just continue capping properties. I'm not in any huge rush to the uncontested properties. I'm confident that my recon opening will be able to put a lot of pressure on him. So I just continue to do my thing. And I send my recon out as far as possible to see if I can scout some infantry out. And I move my recon into this forest right here to see, and I can see that he's capping the base. I wouldn't have been able to interrupt it because I didn't have vision on it, so it didn't really matter, so I just figured I'd hide my recon for as long as possible. When you're using a recon to rush a player, you want to try and hide it from them as much as possible, because if they can't see it coming before they get to attack, you will usually get in 1 extra attack with the recon. If they see the recon coming, they will usually prepare a tank or a mech in response, and the moment you attack with your recon, they'll usually have a counter ready for it. But if you can hide your recon all the way up to the moment it attacks, you'll get the surprise hit, they'll see it, they'll build a unit, and maybe even you'll get a second hit with the recon before you have to pull it back. So extremely important to be stealthy with your recons. You want to use them to scout the enemy, you want to see what they're building, but you also want to use them to interrupt caps and slow their economy. So recons, very important unit early on. Actually, they're an important unit throughout the entire game, actually. So yeah, it's his turn. And let's see what he does. So he captures some more properties. He moves in to capture more properties, which is, that's good. And he finishes capping his base. Way later than I did, but at least now he has it. He goes down to grab the southern property. And once again, he starts to cap this property right here. And again, here's another example of really wasting your transport movement. If he had put this transport copters 2 tiles down, like if this transport copter was here, he could have dropped the infantry out in the mountain. He could have still capped this property on this turn, and he could have built another infantry at this base and moved the infantry over in the transport copter and then moved it right away. So he could have utilized this transport way better than he's currently doing. Also, I'm also noticing that he doesn't seem to have new units on his properties this turn, so he's already making another huge beginner mistake, which is not building infantry every single turn. I cannot overstate how important it is to build infantry in Advanced Wars. If you have money left over to spend, always build infantry. You want to build infantry all the time. You want to always actively use your bases as much as possible. And now he's building a recon. That's good. It's a little late, but it's better late than never, I guess. And this move right here, I don't know what he's doing here. I really don't. He moves his transport copter over here. Maybe he was using it to scout. I don't really know what. Maybe he thought there was a unit inside of it. I don't really know why he's putting his transport here. Really weird move. Maybe he was checking to see if there was a recon up here. I don't really know why. He could have used it maybe to try and scout the forest and see if there was something hidden there. If he did that, he would have spotted my recon. That would actually have been pretty good. But when you have a transport copter, you really want to use it to ferry as many infantry as possible, because 5,000 is actually a pretty big investment in the early game. That's a recon plus an infantry that he doesn't have now. So that already sets him back quite a lot military-wise. So, sorry, the day thing kind of blocks the movement. So here I'm moving my recon and I'm interrupting my first cap. So that's already 1,000 funds that I've deprived him of. And I'm moving my second recon, and once again, I put it in this forest right here. Now, I don't know if he was actively paying attention on my turn. If he did, he probably would have seen the recon coming. But I don't care. I still want to hide it so I can get a good shot at him next turn. And yeah, just continue to capture properties right here, moving my infantry out. On the right-hand side here, we can see that I have a slight income lead over him. I have 11,000 to his 9,000. I also have slightly more units than him, because he forgot to build units on the first turn. And yeah, I'm just moving my infantry here, taking whatever cities I can get my hands on. And here we see that I build my first tank, because again, I do see his recon right now. So whenever you see recons, usually the best response to those recons is a tank. You can be greedy and go for a mech, but mechs have very limited movement, so unless they really make a mistake, you're not going to get a shot at that recon with your mech. Tanks, however, are perfect counters to recons, so you always want to follow up. Whenever you spot recons, you want to follow it up with a tank of yourself, because they can zone the recon out completely. Continue to build infantry. You see, always build infantry every single turn. You want to build infantry whenever you can. Really important to do that. So he moves his recon in right now. He puts it in the forests. And here comes the first battlecopter. And one of the reasons why Eagle is, you know, he's a good CO because he has better battlecopters, and battlecopters are incredibly valuable, but against Eagle, you can always be sure that a battlecopter is going to show up at some point. So you can have an anti-air ready. Honestly, at this point, I probably should have built an anti-air already, because every Eagle player will build the battlecopter early on when they get the chance to. Always. I mean, they do one thing. And here, he gets trapped. First big mistake. Never really want to just blindly drive into forests when you play on this map. He should have scouted it. He had an infantry right here that was ready to move. A more skilled player would have moved this infantry forward to check if there was something in the forest and then move the recon.
It's a trap!
And he gets trapped again? I don't even know how that works. It says he got trapped, but this might be a UI bug, because it shouldn't be possible for him to trap himself twice on the single unit. I actually don't know how he was able to do this. Maybe he moved super fast and he like gave his commands before the UI loaded or something. I really don't know how he did this. This actually baffles me. This shouldn't be possible. So he moves his transport copter back now, and again, this movement makes even less sense. I mean, I'm guessing he wants to load this infantry into this transport and then ship it somewhere, but he has a property right here, and he's not going to get there any faster by loading his infantry into this transport. It's not going to happen. He's still going to get it in 2 turns, because it's just out of reach of his infantry. So I don't really know what he was thinking here. I would have sent this transport back to his base and fetched more infantry, but again, he's making a lot of beginner mistakes here. So I'm moving my tank in here. I don't want to reveal my tank right here, so I'm moving it into this forest. It's a little bit defensive. I could have moved it all the way over here and just applied pressure on him, but I didn't actually want him to see that I brought a tank to the front lines. And recons have 5 vision right here, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this tank, even if he was paying attention on his turn, he would not have been able to see this tank move into the forest. And that was very much intentional on my end. I want to really surprise him with this tank. So here, I'm saying, well, bye-bye, I don't really care about this recon. I'm just going to go and interrupt this cap completely. So I take out this infantry right here. That's devastating for him. You never want to lose infantry completely in the capture game. That's going to set you back a lot. And I continue to move my infantry forward. Now, this time here, I'm using his property for defense, and I'm moving down my recon, and I'm shooting on more of his infantry. At this point, I didn't know he had a battlecopter coming. I probably should have seen it coming, though. But here, I build an anti-air. Even though I don't see the battlecopter here, I know that a battlecopter is coming here, because he's playing as Eagle, and he has an airport. So, of course, he's going to build a battlecopter. So, against an Eagle player, always get an anti-air out early on, because even if he doesn't build a battlecopter, it can still fight recons and infantry. It's still a good unit to have around. And even if you don't see a battlecopter right away, just tuck it away in a forest, keep it safe. A Battlecopter is going to show up at some point during the match, and you'll be very glad to have the anti-air ready when it does. So, yep, I'm taking some more properties right here. Moving in, I'm going for this property right here, which by all accounts should be his. Like, he should have this property right here. I should not be able to take this away from him. See how close that is to his HQ, and yet he hasn't taken it yet, because he isn't very optimal with his infantry movement. So I move my infantry further. This time around I build an artillery. I noticed that on this map, artillery are probably going to be very efficient because there's a lot of forests. Just look at all the potential places you could hide artillery on this map, like in the center here. Really, really good map for both artillery and rockets. So even though I suspect him to build most the Battlecopters, I still get an artillery out just because I realize how insanely cost-effective it's going to be on this match. If I can hide it away in a forest and like shell his base, then it's going to be ridiculously good. So here, he doesn't want to let me take his property, that's good for him. He moves his recon in here and he interrupts my cap as well, not knowing that there's a tank right there. So this is why hiding your units in Fog of War is so incredibly important. If he knew that this tank was here, there's no way he would have run his recon this far ahead to interrupt my cap. There's also an anti-air here, and anti-air deal quite a surprising amount of damage to recons actually. So here comes the Battlecopter. When I saw it, I wasn't very surprised. I knew it was going to come in at some point. He shells my recon, but this is fine. These recons have already been incredibly valuable. And he builds another Battlecopter, of course, because he's Eagle. And he starts to take these properties as well. So here he moves his infantry into the transport copter, and once again he traps himself. So again, what is this, the third time he traps a unit? So doing this, again, you should expect there to be infantry in this area right now. You should, at this point, we're on day 7. I will have infantry in this area. He should have suspected that there would be infantry here, and he should have just moved it normally. This transport copter being up here, it serves no purpose. It's only slowing him down. So this transport copter is just a drain on his economy at this point. So he builds a mech, and for some reason that I don't really understand, he doesn't attack this recon with a recon of his own, even though it was at 5 HP. I don't really know why. Maybe he thought that it wouldn't do much. Maybe he wanted to wait until the second Battlecopter comes in. I don't really know why he didn't attack me here. He could have potentially killed it with a good luck roll, I think. So here comes my tank in, does a crazy amount of damage to his recon, and I move my infantry away because I actually want to kill this thing. When recons get brought down to low HP, it's very popular for players to pull them away, tuck them away in a forest where they're safe, and just use them as scouts. This is how I like to use my recons. I got a 2 HP recon, it's not going to do much. I don't want to pull it back for repairs, so what I do is I just try and send it behind enemy lines. And I don't want to let him do this, so I use my anti-air, even though it means foregoing this cap. I actually think it's worth it to just eliminate this recon and make sure that he can't come back to be annoying later. And here I'm moving my recon back into another forest, and I finish off his infantry. So once again, using the forest very cleverly on this map right here just to make it really hard for him to spot them. Because in order for him to spot this recon, he has to move in a unit and then move in a second unit to kill it. So forests are really good if you take advantage of them. Here I'm moving my recon back into the forest again. I realize a 5 HP recon, I might still use it to interrupt a cap or two, but it's not going to be super effective, so I'm just going to try and keep it in the middle here to give as much vision as possible. So I move in here, I pull back my infantry, I want to get a little bit of vision in the area. I see that he has a transport here, and yeah, I interrupt his, or I take down his infantry so he can't cap this property on his next turn. And then because I don't have anything better to do, I might as well start to shoot his transport a little bit. Don't be afraid to take shots at a transport copter with your infantry. A lot of players tend to ignore transport copters because they don't view them as a threat, but they're worth 5,000. And usually if you use 3 infantry, if you're a little bit lucky, you'll shoot them down. So whenever you can, just take pot shots at transports with infantry. APCs are a lot more durable, but transport copters will actually die pretty quickly. So get them out of play. Like, they're still pretty valuable. Even well, this transport copter isn't very valuable, but most transports can be very valuable. So shoot them down, and you will hurt their capture game long term. Really important. So I build another anti-air here because I'm fully expecting him to just spam Battlecopters, and I'm moving my artillery into range as well. I'm getting a mech out because I suspect he might deploy a tank at some point, and mechs are pretty insane against tanks if they can engage them. So again, once again, I'm just building tons of infantry, moving them forward, trying to take as many properties as I possibly can. And he's moving his recon forward here. He's being very cautious, which is understandable because there's a tank on the field. He now spots my anti-air, which is good. He just barely spots it, so he knows it's there. And here he's using his transport copter to block the city, that's a clever move, I'll give him that. That's pretty nice. He realizes he's not going to take the city, so he's going to try and prevent me from taking it. And he's sending his second battlecopter north to try and interrupt my caps. It's an expensive investment, 9,000 to prevent caps in the north. However, I've already anticipated this, so I already have an anti-air coming. And now he's starting to take these southern properties here, but he's not going to get the second one before I get there. And here he gets himself trapped once again. So one of the biggest mistakes he's doing in this match is he's not moving his infantry first. Here he has a fresh, or it's not fresh, but it's a 7 HP infantry. As Eagle, before you move your battlecopters through forest, if you have infantry nearby, please use your infantry first. Move the infantry first, scout the forests out, make sure there's no enemies hiding there. Getting your battlecopter trapped is devastating. It's devastating. It's an expensive unit at this stage of the game. It costs 9,000, and now this battlecopter is completely useless, shut down by an infantry unit. So this guy is making, I think the biggest mistake this guy is making right now is he's not building infantry every single turn. So he doesn't have units that are capable of moving through the forests to spot enemies hiding in those forests, and as a result his air units gets completely shut down and they're unable to do anything. So now he's attacking me. I guess that's okay. I would probably have kept this infantry in the forest just to use it for scouting, because now I'm going to be able to take it out next turn, and that's even less infantry that he has available to scout. And here comes the tank. That's a clever move. You do want to build tanks to counter enemy anti-air, really important. And yeah, here I'm just continuing to move my units in. I'm moving my anti-air. I'm keeping it hidden in this forest. Infantry has 2 visions, so even if he was paying attention on his turn, he wouldn't have been able to see this infantry or this anti-air coming in. But again, any Eagle player should probably be able to suspect that it's coming. And here I'm just continuing to take shots at his transport copter. I'm happy to use my infantry to shoot it down. It doesn't take that long. And yeah, I'm going for his properties right here. We're actually tied in properties right here. We have 12 properties each. So in terms of capturing, he's actually not doing too bad. But I will be able to get this property over here very soon, and I'll be able to get this property down here soon too. And I'm capping one of his properties up north, so at some point I will start to get an income lead over him. So I shoot down his infantry, and I put my other infantry up in this mountain just to see what's coming. I see that he hasn't built anything from this base, which is very surprising. He has 4,000 funds, and yet he left this base completely unattended. Why did he not just build an infantry on this base? He's saving up for something, maybe? I don't know. He'll get 16,000 next turn, so maybe if he was saving up for a medium tank, I could see it. But again, his lack of infantry is hurting him so bad in this match. And here my tank is coming in. I know there's a mech in range. I don't really care. I'm happy to just shoot down his recons to eliminate his vision range. I know he has a battlecopter here, but that will probably die soon, so it's not really a big deal. And I continue to move my anti-air into the forest, keeping it hidden. This anti-air will be able to shoot down his mech next turn. And my tank is also in a city, so it's well protected against the mech. He will take some damage. It'll still be a good engagement for him, but it's not really going to be a big deal. So, I continue to move my forces forward. My artillery is coming into play soon. And yeah, I actually got myself trapped here. I suspected there might have been an infantry here, but at this point, I realized that I'm winning the match, so I'm not playing as cautiously as I maybe should. And I get a battlecopter out of my own. There's no problems doing this against Eagle. Battlecopters are great units. Even though Eagle's battlecopters are better than yours, you should still build battlecopters against Eagles, because they are incredibly good units. So, Day 9 rolls in. He attacks my tank. That's pretty expected. It's a good trade for him, honestly. And he moves his battlecopter in, and again, so he moves his battlecopter in to interrupt my cap. He has almost no vision of the area. Any good Eagle player would have suspected there was an anti-air here somewhere, so this would have been a really bad move on his end. So again, he just doesn't have the ground support for his battlecopters to be effective here. All his battlecopters are doing in this match is just taking pot shots at infantry every now and then. He's not getting any good engagements with his battlecopters because he doesn't have infantry on the ground to scout the path ahead of them. If he had had just one infantry here, he would have been able to see, or one infantry here, he would have been able to see the anti-air, and he could have kept his battlecopter just outside of range of my anti-air. These mountains right here are also great for battlecopters. He could have moved it north and actually hid behind these mountains, because this anti-air is not going to be able to shoot him if he just has his battlecopter like right here or here or here. So again, As an Eagle player, definitely take advantage of mountains and oceans to shield your battlecopters against enemy anti-air. Really important. So now he builds an anti-air of his own. He's probably suspecting that I'm gonna build a battlecopter at some point, so... Or maybe he's just using it because he wants to kill my infantry, I don't know. And now he's moving his... this is like his first good engagement with his battlecopter. He takes out my tank right here, but again, he doesn't see that I have an anti-air hidden there, so... Both of his battlecopters are dead next turn, basically. And that's 18,000 funds lost for Eagle, which is going to be a crippling blow for him. Here he kills my tank with an infantry. This is a good move on his end. This is something beginners don't tend to do a lot. If there is a tank with 1 HP, definitely take a shot at it with your infantry. Due to the luck roll, they can very easily wipe it out. Even though it says 1% damage, they can still kill it, because they will add 0 to 9% extra luck damage to their attack. So definitely do that whenever you get the chance. It's very effective. Now my turn rolls in here, and look at this. I already have my power. This is a relatively low econ match, and I get my power on day 10. Look at Eagle. He's nowhere close to getting his Lightning Strike. This is the biggest problem with Eagle. If he loses early on, the Lightning Strike just doesn't come in time to save him. Now I will say that Eagle gets progressively better on larger maps with a lot of income, because then statistically more units will die, and so he'll get his Lightning Strike up. But here you can see, like, there's no chance for him to get his Lightning Strike in time for it to be useful. And I already have my power. Gives me a crazy mobility boost, allows me to cap this property down south. Allows me to, well, I trapped myself on an infantry there. I suspected there might have been one there, but I honestly don't really care at this point. And I join cap right over here to ensure that I get this property. And here we go. First battlecopter dies. I take down the mech. Second battlecopter dies. And now I'm just starting to capture his properties just to kind of, I don't know, just to give him something to do, I guess. At this point, I realize the match is probably won. So, yeah, there goes his transport. And at this point, there isn't really anything he can do to fight back. His turn rolls in. He does get a good shot on my anti-air with his tank, which is good. And I do think he gets to interrupt this cap as well, which is also nice. He interrupts another cap, and he builds another tank. And actually, this was pretty well played by him. He did everything right this turn. But at this point, my advantage is so high that it's not really going to work out for him all that well. So, yeah. At this point, it's basically just GG. I'm going to, like, quickly scroll through the rest of the match so you guys can see how it unfolds. But, yeah, no, he's pretty screwed right now. So even though he plays pretty well, like he actually puts up a pretty decent defense here. I don't know why he built this missile. He may have just realized he was losing. I don't know. Like, what the hell is this missile gonna do? 12,000 for a... I mean, don't get me wrong. Missiles can be useful in certain matches. They have 5 vision, which is pretty nice. They have as much vision as recon, so they're very good scouts. And in very, like, big games with a lot of air units flying around, they can actually be pretty valuable, especially on this map where there's a lot of forest. But he's already behind. He's already losing pretty hard, and then he spends 12,000 on a missile. I don't really know why he did this, but he did. But yeah, I'm just going to quickly scroll through the rest of the match here. At this point, things do go pretty quickly downhill for him. He will get 1 lightning strike, but it's not going to end up really doing a whole lot for him. So day 12 rolls in. I think I beat him on day 16. So yeah, I can see this anti-air is basically positioned in such a way that he can shell units on his base as he's building them. So yeah, this is... And already I'm getting my second power here. He probably might actually get his lightning strike this turn, I think. Yeah, so he pops his... Nope, he actually did not. So I got my second power before he even got his lightning strike. And by the time his lightning strike comes in, there's hardly any units left for him. So yeah, I'm just gonna scroll through quickly here. He gets one teensy little lightning strike. It doesn't end up doing much for him because he doesn't have any units left at this point. And yeah, let's just watch the downfall of Eagle right here. At this point, he probably should have just yielded, but new beginners, they don't tend to yield for some reason. They like to fight until the last unit. I don't really know why they do this, but they do for some reason. And did the replay freeze? Sometimes the replay can screw up a little bit. Yeah, here we go. So it just jumps to the end. Yeah, so here I was able to route him on turn 17. And once again, like, this guy ended up being a really cool guy. He told me that he watches my content, and he was honored to play against me and all that stuff. So he ended up being a really cool guy, even though he was kind of cocky and arrogant at first. Of course, I am very competitive, so I really like seeing messages like that. If someone really wants to challenge me, I do love the challenge. Like, I really do love that. But again, I'm not making this video to make fun of him or anything. I'm hoping that maybe by going over this replay, I can teach some people some basics of Advanced Wars PvP by taking a look at beginner mistakes, basically. And it's not like I played perfectly in this match either. I did a ton of mistakes. I got myself trapped. I went for the airport instead of the base early on. I could have certainly played way better here. So this was a really fun game, even though it was against someone who clearly didn't have a lot of experience with Advanced Wars PvP. I really enjoyed it, and you know, I props to you, Sage Master, for challenging me like that. It was great fun. I hope you got a lot of enjoyment out of our match as well. And if anyone else wants to challenge me at Advanced Wars by Web, I'll throw a link to my profile in the video description. Yeah, just add me and challenge me whenever you want. I'm never going to say no to an Advanced Wars match. I love playing against you guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. And when the reboot launches on the 3rd of December, I'm really looking forward to doing this in real time. It's going to be a lot of fun. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, give it a like and a comment. And yeah, tell me if you want me to do more Advanced Wars replay commentaries. I think these are a lot of fun to do. So, I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.